And is Biden out this week? People are saying, yeah. People are saying they're going to get rid of him. They're going to pull the trigger and remove Biden and replace him with Michelle Obama. There's all sorts of speculation, but I have no idea. That'll be at the end of the show. There's lots to get to. Let's get to it first. Pierre Poilievre says, kicking off this long weekend with patriotic Canadians at Brampton Fairgrounds Canada Day Truck and Mila Show. But what's a Mila Show? I feel like the Canada Day celebration stuff should be really like familiar to me. I don't think that I know what a Mila Show is. I'm sure it's really fun and stuff, but I wonder what that is. And John says, is it just me, or does Pierre Poilievre spend an inordinate amount of time campaigning among certain communities? You can try and rationalize this or say it's racist to point it out, but it seems very clear that he thinks some voters are more important than others. I think it's really strange that last year, fireworks happened a lot of places. I think Guelph had fireworks. COVID scuttled a lot of fireworks, and I thought that was absolute BS. But there was a whole bunch of options 2023, and now 24. It's a situation where there's a whole bunch of other circumstances that are, shucks, just preempting the fireworks. And we can't quite get it sorted out before the Canada Day, so I guess we're just not going to celebrate. And so, that's an attack. It's a low-key attack, if you ask me, and if not a higher level attack, because it's sending the message that Canada shouldn't be celebrated, and Canada should be celebrated. It's a great country, except those communists we've got running it right now, they're terrible, right? But the country itself, really good people, salt of the earth. And so we should celebrate Canada. So it's interesting to me how people are campaigning, how they're trying to appeal to the electorate, and the choices they make. And Poilievre's choices are standing out to people, lots of people. And Justin Trudeau is out campaigning amongst the stink of people calling for him to be removed or calling for him to step down, one or the other. Whatever works, get him out of here. We're going to lose the next election, and he's the reason why. Maybe. Canada Proud is reporting Liberal backbencher Wayne Long has sent an email to Caucus calling for Justin Trudeau to resign as party leader after the Liberals' by-election loss in Toronto St. Paul. So that's interesting when you've got a CC everybody email, get rid of this guy. Justin Trudeau, watch for that guy to be jettisoned from Caucus sooner than later, I think, right? Holy cow. Here's Justin Trudeau. What do you do when people are saying, should we get rid of this leader? He's doing damage to the party. Well, you go and you dance like nobody's watching, right? This is Trudeau. No word of a lie. So people are taking pictures. He's pretending it was like watching Job come onto the stage to the final countdown, and there's smoke and he's dancing around the smoke, right? That's what Trudeau just did with, I don't know, some kind of shish kebab barbecue thing. There's all this steam from shish kebab barbecue and he dances in it he's, I don't know, bringing some magic hat or something like that. Poof. I don't know. It's crazy. Andrew Coyne says, a Liberal MP told the Hill Times that a, quote, vast majority of caucus members want a national caucus meeting to discuss the current political situation within the party. But they said the centre wants to have smaller 7 or 8 regional caucus meetings because the PMO thinks they can manage it better. The MP said the general caucus membership is pushing back against this stupid idea. Liberal MPs Long and McDonald call for change in the party leadership. We need new leadership and a new direction, the Hill Times. They're realizing maybe just now that their party's been hijacked by communists, right? Maybe. I have no idea. But it's very interesting. The reason that they're trying to break it down into 7 or 8 smaller meetings is because the PMO will come in and match the number of people in the room and then bully them into submission. Whereas if you do a whole caucus national meeting, the PMO doesn't have enough people to bully those people down. You can do it in a room of 10 or 15, right? 30, 45 more, good luck, right? Those people are going to win because they're a clear majority, right? That's why. That's what they're going to do. So, interesting stuff. And the PMO has a clear strategy for how they're going to manage their caucus, right? Let's see how it works for them, Cotton. Anne is responding to this. Chrystia Freeland, right? This is all, and we're going to talk about Pride, I guess, in a minute, but because it's all part of the campaign, right? They're just using Pride to preempt Canada Day, to make a celebration for for a group of their chosen communities that they want to campaign for, right? Yet another community that's not Canadian, but blank Canadian, right? And so that's interesting. Money for them, attention for them. It's all campaigning. Christia Freeland says, Pride weekends in full swing in Toronto. The Prime Minister and I had a great time meeting so many people out in the community and cheering on everyone participating in Pride and Remembrance Run. Hope to see many of you at tomorrow's Pride Parade. That's today. And Anne says, we saw the video. Millions of Canadians aren't able to lock their kids in the car for 10 days to visit grandma. So Justin Trudeau's out partying and like, where's his family, right? So this is a different angle on the barbecue dance, maybe? I'm not 100% sure. I think this is maybe his photographer or somebody following him around, putting the highlights there, and they had the barbecue dance from behind. Like, this is almost a meme. Where's the meme, guys? Come on, Ferry. What are you doing, man? Like, I'm waiting here. Chandra says, there are a couple of really good memers in Diagolon. I think Ferryman's one, and I can't remember the others, but there are a couple of really, really prolific people who can just kind of boil something down and then put an image together. I am not like that. I wish I was like that, but I can't meme worth anything, really. I started doing some Success Kid memes, and I had some success with it. But other than that, like, I just can't see it. And some people, they see it and they put it up, and I see it and I'm like, holy cow, they nailed it. So I wish I had that power. I don't have that power. Maybe I should try and develop it, but it's just not something that naturally comes to me. Anyway, Chandra, this is another Chandra. Sorry, I'm getting that probably wrong. He's an MP. I think he's an MP. Yeah, Member of Parliament Canada. And he's responding to this whole debacle as well. He says the National Liberal Caucus is abuzz with discussion and engagement sparked by recent political developments in Canada. Here is my response to one of my fellow MP's email asking for leadership change. Hello, colleagues. Just to preempt this a little bit, this is me now. This guy is doing damage control. I don't think that he's actively trying to engage in a real conversation here. He's trying to do damage control and minimize the impact of the first letter. Okay, that's what I think he's doing. He says, okay, back to this guy. Hello, colleagues. He says, as most of you may know, I'm not a member of the Prime Minister Justin Trudeau Superfans Club. In my view, Trudeau has taken party and the government too far left of center. I've conveyed this message in writing in November 2019, and the same holds true today. Prime Minister Trudeau and his team. So this is getting on your side. Like, this is saying what you would agree with, okay? Like, hey, fellow kids, right? I like skateboarding too. Prime Minister Trudeau and his team have made several wrong policy strategic choices, but everything before the but doesn't count. But I recognize we have accomplished significant success during the last 9 years, from negotiating NAFTA, now USMCA, reforming CPP, CCB, ELCC, successfully managing the pandemic. Successfully managing the pandemic? What? Right? Have you seen the turn now? Like, do you understand what we're reading? Just to name a few. In my opinion, Prime Minister Trudeau is a patient man with discipline. He works hard and reads extensively. I'm not kidding. That's what it says. Did this guy not pay attention to, I don't read. I'm not here to read. I guess not. But is he perfect? No. I recognize he is unpopular today, and this critically affects the political life of most of us. I question myself. Is the lack of popularity and perception true reflection of Prime Minister Trudeau, his achievements, and the reality? I reaffirm my trust and confidence in Prime Minister Trudeau and look forward to fighting the next election under his leadership. That's managing a crisis. That's PR, right? Public relations. That's, I'm on your side. Hello, fellow kids. I like skateboarding too, but let's not skateboard here. Other people might be using the stairs, right? Like, thanks, older guy who's not a kid, right? Like, this is, I said I don't meme. Come on, right? So, like, it's one of those things that is absolutely a lie. He's lying. He's a liar. Senator Caucus is responding to the Globe and Mail, and the Globe and Mail says, the leader is the leader, Minister Francois-Philippe Champagne hedges when asked if he supports Trudeau. Do you support Justin Trudeau? The leader is the leader. Next question. Yes, resounding support. Okay, good. Senator Caucus is responding to this. If he says it often enough and loud enough, maybe he'll believe it. The summer of love and fun begins for Justin Trudeau and the Liberals. LOL. Or he's got a laughing face, which is, same thing. The one political leader in Canada who's less popular than Justin Trudeau is Calgary Mayor Gondik among the water shortage issues. And Trudeau's approval rating is 28%. and Gondik's is 26%. That's as of June 2024. So recent, right? Justin Trudeau is not very well liked, but Gondik is not very well liked, even less. So that's interesting. It's interesting to note. There's a whole recall that tried to oust Gondik from office. It kind of just fizzled out. And I mean, I follow the recall guy, so I think it's interesting how ineffective Twitter is for information sharing sometimes, but also how effective it is for finding cool kind of abstract stories. It's weird. It's a weird thing. Okay, Wiretap Media says, hold on a second. I had to clear my throat. Wiretap Media says, we just found Trudeau's 10th annual F Canada into the ground poster. This is the annual poster, right? It's hard to pass for Canadians, but the Liberals keep importing unskilled workers for votes. And it says Justin Trudeau's annual National Sodomy Festival. This is in response to the Trudeau's celebration of Pierre Poilievre's 20 years in Parliament, and they had Alex Jones and conspiracy theorists and all sorts of people coming to his party, like a big party list that if you were a rabid lefty, you'd be like, oh yeah, like that's a damning list against Pierre Poilievre, which I really don't think it was. I think it was kind of silly actually. But here is the response, and I think this is a damning list. So the guest list for Justin Trudeau's Sodomy Festival is Xi Jinping, Chinese Mafia, the United Front Group, McKinsey Group, SNC-Lavalin, of course, Pfizer Pharmaceuticals, yeah, Revolutionary Communist Party, Canadian Anti-Hate Network, the Ukrainian neo-Nazis, the Azovs, which if you ask Spencer Fernando, he'll block you, right? He'll say, hold on, you're blocked. That doesn't exist in my world, he says. Hilarious. The World Economic Forum, Chicks with Dicks. Not welcome. Free thinkers, Charter of Rights or Democracy. Right? Democracy is just the tyranny of the majority, everyone. So we need something better than democracy. We should demand more. Freedom of speech is strictly prohibited. Yowza. And I love the Chinese star and the hammer and sickle there. That's a nice touch, right? And the World Economic Forum hammer and sickle. Like, right, it's good. And is that the King Charles painting background I spy? See, I wouldn't be able to put something like that together. It's genius. It's absolutely genius. And it's right there. It's low-hanging fruit, right? But not that I wouldn't be able to put it together, but it wouldn't have occurred to me to put it together, right? Great job, everybody, right? This is why I crowdsource. Jack, let's talk about Pride very quickly. Statement from St. John's Pride, commitment for 2024 and beyond, it says. And Jack is just saying, I told you this would happen. I called it Pride is no longer about being gay or lesbian. It's a radicalized protest, and the unions and the NDP are behind it. Completely hijacked. They did this so that the Queers for Palestine wouldn't shut down the Pride parades. We have invited Palestinian Action YYT to lead this year's Pride Parade. We still remain dedicated to using the festival platform to amplify and support the voices of marginalized communities. Crazy, right? Like, this is crazy. But it reminds me of Pride Toronto and all the ridiculous politicking that goes along with that. I think it would be a very easy solution. You remove all funding for Pride. You just remove it all. You say, we're not doing Pride Day, Parade, Week, Month, or anything. We're doing Canadian History Month, or we're doing whatever it is, something else, not Pride. Whatever we're doing is not going to glorify sexuality in any way, period, unless you want to glorify the family, right? Like, want a minivan? Have 7 kids. Have 5 kids and we'll give you a minivan, right? Like, that would be great. But Pride, not great. I'm not interested. Christia Freeland, she's celebrating Pride, blah, 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 blah. I've already read that tweet, so we'll just move on. Pierre Poilievre, let's talk about electioneering. This is all part and parcel because it's all campaigning. And Pierre Poilievre shares this. He says, is Trudeau's health minister, Mark Holland, okay? And yesterday I showed you footage of Mark Holland talking about gargling gasoline, which it's incredible that this footage exists because nobody in their right mind would do that. And what? Gargling gasoline because of a toothache? That's crazy town. But apparently there's even more. A few weeks later, I think this is a Laurie Goldstein piece, but apologies if it's not. He says, a few weeks later, Holland gave a bizarre speech to the Society of Obstetricians and Gynecologists of Canada, where he talked about the need for society to accept that sex should be pleasurable. I'm not sure who Holland is speaking to or hearing from on this topic, but most people find sex pleasurable. It's why we desire it. But he made it sound like this was some breakthrough brought to you exclusively by the Trudeau Liberal government. Does anyone want sex advice? or tips from Holland or the government? I certainly don't, and I don't know of anyone that needs to hear from Mark Holland to enjoy sex. I'd rather not hear from him. That would be more enjoyable. Yeah. Yep. So Mark Holland behaving very, very strangely. Everything around the Liberals is strange, but everything around our entire government is strange. I maintain anybody with sense coming in to lead a government on behalf of the people who live in Canada would immediately do away with all taxes on energy and food and immediately start building to make ourselves self-sufficient in energy by building gas refineries, pipelines across the country, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and stop funding NGOs that are going to bring lawsuits against you for doing that. That's just the basics, period. It's like if you moved into a house and they didn't have curtains on the windows. Like one of the first things you do is measure the windows, order the curtains, and put up a sheet. Like you'd start that at least. You wouldn't sit around and go, wow, man, everybody can see into this house. I hope somebody solves that problem soon. Right? Like, you're doing damage to yourself. We're taxing energy, and that's the input for absolutely everything. These people are stealing from us. I digress. Let's talk about the Canadian Armed Forces, which takes our tax dollars and just lights it on fire for no good reason at all. Veterans for Freedom says, told you, Lieutenant Jenny Kerrigan, chosen as the next chief of the defense staff. And apparently Veterans for Freedom has put a clown wig and clown nose on her, and they've got a quote. It says, diversity is a superpower. Lieutenant General Kerrigan, 30th of August, 2023. So yay, she's a diversity aligned person. She is part of the woke ideology. She aligns with that. David Mulrooney says, finally, it's impossible to ignore the most difficult discussion. Saijan is alleged to have ordered the rescue of Afghan Sikhs who had no link to Canada, while the plight of non-Sikh Canadians and Afghans associated with Canada was ignored. So is this treason? Yes. Is this overshadowing the Chinese interference into Canadian elections? Yes. Is anything going to be done about either thing? No. Nope. I wish I was wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I hope somebody says, Saijan, that's really bad. And then they broadcast the slap on the wrist. And then he'll move on and he'll say that's super racist. And then he'll go back to India or whatever. He'll live in wherever he lives and nothing will happen is fundamentally what I'm saying. And that's a problem. We really should deal with accountability for people who cause harm using on our behalf or on the government's behalf using our tax dollars, right? There should be some kind of consequence, probably, right? Let's talk about money. I thought this was interesting. BRICS is super popular these days, right? And Turkey, a member of NATO, is now expressing interest in joining BRICS, right? Like, how do I get into BRICS? Can I invest in BRICS? I like this idea of BRICS. The world is laughing at American leadership and coming together to crush our global dominance. At the beginning of this month, news of Turkey's desire to join BRICS drew global media attention. The announcement was made via Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan. I'm getting that terribly wrong, I'm sorry. During his visit to China. Of course, we would like to become a member of BRICS. Let's see what we can achieve this year. Right? Sounds great. Yikes. So that's not good, right? That's not good for the United States economy. And if it's not good for the United States economy, probably not good for the Canadian economy. Probably not good for, the interconnected Western economy if BRICS becomes more of a powerhouse, because it's certainly a thing, right? And it's becoming more of a thing as days go on. And more than that, the United States doesn't appear to be responding at all. So that's notable too, right? Like, your enemy is getting stronger. Russia, China, everywhere, all of those people, that whole axis, BRICS, all of that's happening in real time. Like, people are watching it. They're having conferences and stuff. And at the same time, the US is throwing all sorts of fiat money at Ukraine uselessly, while Russia blows up all the supplies that are sent there from the West too. Useless. It's all useless. And it's just like burning money. And all of that's happening in the backdrop of BRICS being set up, and France being kicked out of Africa, all sorts of countries in Africa standing up for for their own self-governance, the United States having to move bases because they've lost the ability to keep their bases in certain areas, all sorts of other stuff happening while the US really focuses on Ukraine, claiming they're going to win. And, again, you have to wonder, right? BRICS. I think that it's like Russia's using Ukraine to hold the United States' attention there while they set up BRICS and win the broader economic war. And like once the money's useless and the American economy is kind of on its head, good luck getting on war footing. You know, like, oh, we've got to re-engineer the economy again. The whole thing, like, and feeding everybody too, right? Crickets. Food professor. Let's talk about a Guelph strike. I have the grocery stores that we go to. There's a couple of different grocery stores, and they all have the same kind of tube meat, right? Like you've got a tube of ground beef, a tube of ground pork, or a tube of ground beef and pork. And like there's different levels of ground beef, like just regular ground beef, medium ground beef, lean ground beef, ultra lean ground beef. And you can get their different prices and whatever. But now, because of this Cargill strike, the grocery stores are importing meat from somewhere else, and the ground pork is very expensive compared to what it was. So what used to be a $4 pack of meat that was a pound is now like $7, right? Going up to $8. I wouldn't be surprised if it was $8 the next time I go. And that's 100% increase in price. That's more inflation than they're saying is happening, right? And this has only happened in the last couple of, during this strike, but before the strike, it was still $6, right? So before it was $4, now $6. So it's still quite a lot of money, right? 50% inflation is pretty high for meat. Meat? Yeah. And like the fact that peanut butter's inflated unbelievably high as well. Like it's crazy town. So the food professor says, good grief, more than 150 families of striking Cargill beef plant workers in Guelph have signed up in the last week, food bank director says. Also, pork is a more volatile commodity traded on a different market. So there's more stability in beef prices compared to pork prices. Pork prices can go up, but they can also drop. So like there's every chance that this pork pack that I like to eat is going to go down in price. But it's just interesting to me, the price of inflation, right? And all the other factors. But this beef food processing plant that's on strike, it's not good. It's not helpful, right? And it's all these death by 1,000 cuts that's going to lead to a broader collapse, right? And not yet, but they're working on it, right? And it's concerning. Pierre Poilievre says Trudeau's spent. Canadians are broke. Cap the spending and bring in a dollar for dollar law to fix the budget and bring down inflation and interest rates. Common sense. So here's a minute 44 of Mr. Poilievre talking about lowering taxes for people, income taxes, so that they can bring home powerful paychecks, they say, and fix the inflation. We'll see. People will like it. And because people like it, it will be difficult to move on from it. Does that make sense? So even if Poilievre is bad on, say, let's say he brings in an anti-Semitism law, and you can't be anti-Semitic or Holocaust denial or something like that online, and like, in my opinion, they're going to use that as the excuse to backdoor the same speech laws that Trudeau's trying to get in. But people will look past that because they'll say, well, it's just really targeted at this, and like, look at all the other good stuff that he's done. And so making the argument that this isn't really a win, but it's just the same policies dressed up different with lower taxation, it's not going to hit. And that's my concern. I think that's what I'm concerned about. And I think that's exactly kind of the plan, because you've got to keep the population within a certain tolerance band, right? Like it can't get too expensive. And if it does get too expensive, because it can get too expensive, things do get too expensive. If it does, you ignore it and then artificially suppress the price again to get you back into the band. And they will spend any amount of money in order to do that. Okay, here's Pierre Poilievre.
The debt has doubled in the last 9 years. The current Prime Minister has added more debt than all prior Prime Ministers combined in the preceding 150 years. That means that we have now spent $54.1 billion on debt interest. You know how much will you pay in GST? $54.1 billion. So you can take comfort in knowing that every single time you make a purchase and see the GST, that money is not going to roads or hospitals or soldiers. It is going to pay interest on debt. It is going to disproportionately wealthy lenders who profit off of our debt. That has also grown the money supply by about 32% in the last 3 years, which is 8 times faster than the growth of our real economy. In other words, money is growing 8 times faster than the stuff that money buys. More money buying fewer goods equals higher prices. That's inflation. My common sense plan is to bring in a dollar for dollar law that will require each minister in my government find $1 of savings for every new dollar of spending. so that we can cap government costs while the economy and the taxpayer catches up with the cost of paying for it. We'll eliminate wasteful spending in order to balance the budget and bring down inflation, interest rates, and income taxes. We need to cut income taxes to make work pay again. Right now we're punishing work. And I met a guy today, he earned a bonus, and he said it all got chewed up by taxes. But why would he earn a bonus? There's no incentive to work hard when you're getting punished for it. We're going to lower the earned income tax so work pays off and you bring home more.
People are going to like it. People like that. That's the kind of rhetoric people want to hear. And so Mr. Poilievre is giving them what they want, and well, we'll see how it goes, I guess. Anti-taxer. Let's talk about sex and manipulation of the narrative. Okay, so anti-taxer says, you don't hate the media as much as you should. CTV just posted a story that homophobic men attacked a gay couple in downtown Halifax. Here's the story. Okay. CTV News, Halifax woman recovering after altercation with group of men who allegedly made homophobic slurs. Right? I'm terrified to go downtown Halifax, woman recovering says. But we know what really happened because 2 days ago, one of the victims already described the group as 7 to 10, possibly Syrian men. Why did journalist Hassef Arif neglect to include that detail? We are importing misogynistic men from the third world countries that don't share our values. Interesting. From Halifax community on Reddit. As some of you may know, myself and my partner Tori were attacked on Saturday night by a group of 7 to 10 plus Middle Eastern men believed to be from Syria, aged 18 to 25 on Argyle Street in downtown Halifax. One particular individual wearing a red shirt with a walking boot initially made a sexually degrading comment to me. My partner Tori and this man got into a verbal altercation where this individual made several disgusting slurs, some being homophobic. Following this, the 7 to 10 men attacked me and my partner, throwing several punches and kicks to our faces, ribs, etc. The outcome of this attack has resulted in a broken nose, chipped tooth, several bruises and lumps on our head, face, etc. We are extremely thankful that things were not worse. If anyone has any further information or had witnessed this event or has personal video footage, I would be extremely grateful if you could share it. Stay safe and happy Pride Month. Okay. Right. So here's the actual article. Links in the description if you're interested in reading that. And then Diagolon Studios, the first person that I noticed who shared this, and then images. And then there's actually even footage of the attack. Somebody had footage of it.
Now what are we doing?
How you feel? Yeah, can I go look? Let me. Oh.
So like there appears to be a lot of people standing around watching all of these men attack these women. So that seems weird, don't you think? Weird. The whole thing is very strange. So what happens when Syrian men immigrate to Canada to attack lesbians in Halifax, right? Like this is this could be investigative reporting, right? Why are we importing all sorts of third world people into Canada when clearly there's a disagreement about things like that? And I mean, to be fair, I think that Canada should not be focused so much on people's sexuality. It's quite something. Here's Ben Mulrooney, and he says, a charity dedicated to helping kids learn how to read is harmful. Keep it up. This is why your side is going to lose. So Dolly Parton's scheme giving children free books attacked as white saviorism. Great, right? Like you can't give kids these ideas. They're dangerous ideas that come loaded with racism. Right. Wow. Crazy, right? But I thought it's so interesting that Ben Mulrooney and like by extension, other media more broadly, like CTV News, specifically institutions and things, and also reporters like Ben Mulrooney, who I understand is related to Brian Mulrooney. So I get it. But he's willing to stand up and say, the left are going too far going after Dolly Parton, calling her racist. But he's not going to say a damn word about mutilating healthy kids' sex organs and calling them trans or anything like that. He's not going to speak up about that. So that's weird to me. Like, that's a strange juxtaposition. Like, on one side, this is too far. How dare you call Dolly Parton racist and white savior and blah, 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 all that stuff. That's too far. But yeah, go ahead, kid. Cut off your breasts. We'll call you a boy. Sure, why not? I love boys don't cry. Like, no, like that's not what we should be doing as a society. Where's the courage? What happened to these people to make them kowtow to something that's so obviously false? I don't understand. I do understand. Communists are crazy, but it's one of those things where it only works because people stay silent. Why are they all staying silent? Money? Is it money? Ben Mulroney, money? He's got money, right? Doesn't he? Brandon says, this is strategic, deeply calculated backpedaling in light of the HHS, Dr. Levine being exposed. They've spent the last 3.5 years furiously pushing this horror at every turn. The reckoning has begun. Demand accountability. So Benjamin says Brandon's responding to what Benjamin says. Benjamin says the Biden administration now opposes surgery for transgender minors. The statement followed a report in the Times that a federal health official had urged the removal of age minimums for treatment guidelines for transgender minors. So apparently, after Biden's disastrous whole debate thing, they're backing off on pretending that you can mutilate healthy kids' sexual organs, and that results in them changing gender. They're backing off on that. They're saying you shouldn't do that now all of a sudden. Weird, right? After spending so much time and money making the case that we should do that, now they're not doing that. Now they're saying, well, actually, sorry about that. We shouldn't do that. I think that like this is one of those things that shows how really evil the censorship kind of censorship system that we've built up is, because just like during COVID, if somebody said, listen, I fell for this whole thing, I found a doctor who was willing to mutilate me, they did mutilate me, and I realized that they just mutilated me. I'm not a different gender. It didn't solve my problems. And those people were silenced just the same way the COVID doctors were silenced. And isn't that concerning, right? Like, we know, I think I know that if I mutilate myself, that doesn't like magically change me into a woman, right? Like if a horrible accident happened and I was like milling something or whatever and it slipped and like, everything was gone below the pants, I couldn't just be then like, oh, well, make me into a woman, doc. Like, no, probably it's a darn shame that happened, but a good thing we've got this option. That's not it. Like, that's not going to happen. You know that. I know that. Everybody knows that. But all of a sudden, they've convinced people that if you've got a scalpel, cutting it off is, just transitionary to being a woman. No, it's crazy. It's bonkers. What? Why have people allowed this for so long? Where's the backlash? Why? How have we been bamboozled, not just by COVID, but by all of it? Gender ideology, the Biden administration, this liberal group that is communist, not liberal. How did we get so bamboozled? It's in order to bamboozle the whole West, the lie must have been so big that you couldn't see it. And like, is the lie our whole society? Everything that we believe is just a manufactured false reality? Hello, everyone. Thanks very much for watching. This is just a short version of a longer show. If you'd like to get the whole show, you can go over to CanadaPoly.com and sign up for a subscription. Just look in the drop-down tab for Shop and Donate and look for subscriptions, and you'll get immediate access to the full show. Love to see you. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.